She walked in beaming like she'd won the lottery, dropped her toad on the counter, and said, "They picked me. I start Monday." I set the skillet off the burner. "Then tonight is yours," I told her, and I meant it. Steak, baked potatoes, the whole show. Jenna laughed, swiped a carrot from the cutting board, and spun like a dancer. "You're ridiculous." "Accurate," I corrected, and plated our dinner. We ate at the table for once, our phones face down. She talked about the interview panel, about the building with the glass lobby, about a team that moves fast. I poured her a second glass and made a toast. "To your first day," I said, "and to the last time you're this nervous." If I had known it was also the last time I'd see her smile just for me, I would have made a bigger toast. Monday came. She left early, eyes bright, blazer still with that store crease in the sleeves. I texted at lunch, "You got this." She sent back a thumbs up. After work, I waited with takeout and a dumb grin. She came home late, said there'd been a push, dumped her toad on a chair, and went straight to the shower. "How was it?" I asked through the door. "Good," she called. "Busy." "Busy good." "Water ran." "Yeah, good." That was the first wobble. Nothing dramatic. Just a word that didn't reach me. Next days, she slipped into a new routine like a borrowed coat. Early in, late out. The tote grew heavier with binders. She ate standing up, scrolled on her phone, nodded at my stories about the shop, and drifted away mid-sentence. One night the pan was cooling when she came in. "There's leftovers," I offered, tapping the lid. "I'm not hungry." "You ate." She brushed past me. "Team thing." I leaned against the counter. "Team thing becoming a habit?" She paused at the hallway. "It's work, Mark." "Work, I respect," I told her. "Vague, I don't." She looked at me like I was asking for a permission slip. "I just started. I'm trying to fit in. Don't make this a thing." "Not making anything," I said. "I'm asking for the headline." "Late nights." That's the headline. "Can I shower?" "Go," I said, and reached for my plate. If I'd known the quiet was about to calcify, I would have broken it harder. A week later, I tried the human approach. "Let's grab a weekend somewhere," I suggested. 2 nights. Ocean, mountains, a motel with ugly carpet. "Pick." Jenna didn't look up. Her phone glowed in her palm. "Not a good time." That line ever expires? "Mark." She pinched her nose. "Please don't start." "I'm fine. I'm actually energized. I don't need a break." "Then maybe I do." She set the phone down then, slow. "So I should entertain you because you're bored?" "Cute," I replied. "Or we could call it being married." She smirked, the first sharp edge since she started. "You can go with your buddies. I won't stop you." "Copy that," I said, and let it land. If she was going to live like a roommate, I could do precision roommate too. I adjusted without drama. Dinner stopped waiting. I ate when I was hungry, put hers in the fridge with a note. I kept our joint calendar clear of anything labeled romantic, because I don't set tables for ghosts. When she got home late, I was sometimes at a basketball game with Dave, or at the shop catching up on invoices, or on the patio with a cigar and a radio game, volume low. I didn't comment. I didn't chase. I just slid my time back to where it paid. The first team event was a Thursday. She texted at 6, running late. "Don't wait up." I responded with a single word, "Noted." I wasn't trying to be cool. I was marking a boundary. "I hear you. I'm pivoting. I'm not negotiating." The next morning, she set a to-go cup next to my keys. "Coffee," she offered. "Sorry about last night." I took the cup, lifted an eyebrow. That an apology or a weather report? "Both." She tried to smile. "I'll make it up to you." "Friday?" "I'll cook." "That'll be a first, but sure." Friday came. At 6, an empty stove. At 7, another text, emergency push. "Sorry. Don't be mad." I stared at the screen, took a breath, and typed, "All good. I'm out with Dave. See you later." Dave studied me over a basket of wings. "You good?" "Define good." He wiped his fingers. "You've been talking to the side of her head for 2 weeks. When does that stop being patience and start being you training her you're optional?" I snorted. "And this is why you're single." "It's also why I sleep well," he shot back. "Look, man, if she's building a life that doesn't include you, help her finish the construction. Don't bring her water." Miguel, across the table, tapped his glass. "Mark, you're steady." Steady can turn into background music. Turn down the volume. Make her notice the silence. "I already did," I said, and I meant it. I went home, Cleared my Saturday for me, not for us, and started a new ritual. I stopped waiting at the door. The following week, I split our budget line items. Groceries, mortgage, utilities stayed joint. Dinners out, subscriptions, gifts, all got separate cards. I told her at breakfast. Why? She buttered toast without looking up. Because I won't fund placeholders, I answered. If we plan a dinner, I'll pay for dinner. If we don't, I won't guess. Sounds petty. Sounds precise, I countered. I like precise. She shook her head. I don't get this new vibe. It's not new, I said. It's what you get when I match reality. She picked up her phone, put it down, picked it up again. I was thinking, Jenna added, lighter now. Maybe next week we do a movie? I can pick up Ty. There it was, the soft step back onto the rug. I nodded. Pick the night. Put it on the calendar. Wednesday. Done. Wednesday, another push. She texted at 5:50. Rain check? Big client. I looked at the message until the dot stopped, then slid my phone into my pocket and went to the gym. The soft step was just that, soft. It didn't carry weight. 2 days later, she announced casually, there's a company thing next month. Big one. All hands. You should come. I glanced over the morning paper. You want me there, or they want optics? She rolled her eyes. It's a +1. You're my husband. Sometimes I need reminding. I deadpanned. Send me the details. She did, with a little heart next to the calendar invite. That was new. I accepted, and I didn't pretend it meant much. Still, I was open to being wrong. By the time the party rolled up on us, we were living like two tenants with different schedules. Our conversations were bullet points, bills, trash day, the dog next door barking at 2 a.m. We had become efficient and empty. A week before the event, I drew a line, in public, on purpose. Jenna walked into the shop on a Saturday, surprisingly early, hair up, tote slung. Dave was at the counter, turning an invoice around. You're actually here, she said. I need the SUV Sunday. There's a team hike. We're taking that car to a client pickup, I replied, wiping my hands. I'm using it. She frowned at Dave. Can he grab it later? Dave looked at me, then her. I read the play. Default to her schedule, adjust mine. That rule has expired. The SUV's booked, I told her, firm but easy. You can take my truck if you want, or use a rideshare. She laughed once. Your truck? No. Then figure out the ride, I said. I'm not changing my work for your hobby. Hobby. Dave cleared his throat. We can load the compressor now, Mark. Yeah. I answered, not moving my eyes off Jenna. We can. She held my stare a second too long. Whatever. I'll manage. Good, I said, and went to the back. That was the first public boundary. I didn't shout. I adjusted logistics and let the consequence stick. Sunday night, she arrived home with burrs on her socks and that team high. I was oil-stained, tired, content. We passed in the hallway like neighbors. On the night of the event, I wore a navy suit that fit and a tie that didn't try too hard. Jenna came out of the bedroom in a sleek dress I hadn't seen before. It looked expensive. She didn't ask my opinion. I didn't offer one. We drove downtown in silence, streetlights cutting the windshield. In the lobby, music and chatter bounced off glass. Stick close, or roam? I asked out of courtesy. She scanned the room like security. Do your thing, she said, already half a step toward a cluster of people. Got it, I murmured. I went to the bar, ordered club soda, and took a read. I ended up next to a woman with an amused expression and a name tag that read Olivia Ryan, product. She eyed my empty ring finger out of habit, then glanced again when she saw the band. You look like you'd rather be changing attire, Olivia noted, sipping water. I own a shop, I told her. You're close. Explains the forearms, she replied, not flirting so much as clocking facts. I'm Olivia. You with someone here, or just collecting motivational quotes? Mark. And I'm here with my wife, I said, tipping my head toward a far group where Jenna hovered near a tall, polished man everyone else seemed to orbit. Ah, Olivia said. Then you're not collecting quotes. You're on display. I'm not much for displays. Me neither. She looked straight at me. I'm guessing you didn't get the how to blend in deck. I missed that meeting, I said. What's the over-under on small talk before I do something honest? 10 minutes, she smiled. But you can push it to 8. We fell into a run of dry, useful talk. Jobs, neighborhoods, how early you need to get to the farmer's market to avoid the line. Nothing heavy, but with an ease I hadn't felt in months. I caught myself laughing. Olivia noticed. Sounds like you haven't laughed in a while, she said. I've been busy being supportive, I replied. Of what? Of someone else's life. That gets old, she said, like she was reading off a lab result. After half an hour, the tall man broke off from his circle and made his way toward us. He had the haircut you get from a salon that uses the word atelier. He stuck his hand out before he reached us. You must be Mark, he said, smiling like the room belonged to him. I'm Carter. He didn't say his last name. He didn't need to. I shook his hand and didn't do the extra squeeze men do when they're trying to measure each other. I just shook and let go. Olivia, he added with something like fond tolerance. Can I steal your guest of a guest? Olivia's mouth twitched. I'm not his handler. Carter's eyes flicked to the ring on my hand, then to Jenna, who hovered behind his shoulder like she wanted to be in his shadow. He gestured toward the view. So, Mark, he said, what do you do? Auto repair. I didn't add anything. He waited for elaboration. I let silence answer. Right? He said, like he'd been given a puzzle he didn't value. That's practical. Paid off our mortgage, I replied. Practical works. He smiled again, thinner. I always admire people who keep things running. We need that. He stepped at an angle so Jenna could drift into place behind him. She avoided eye contact with me. He looked over his shoulder at her like she was a favorite intern. Your wife's a star, he went on. She's a real asset. Is she? I said, more statement than question. Yeah. He rested a hand in his pocket. Honestly, I don't know how you two even ended up together. Well, you can see what she is. And you're dependable. He spread his hands. No offense. Some men are just, what's the phrase, solid background. Olivia's eyebrow climbed. I kept my voice even. You practiced that line? Or is this the deluxe package? Carter chuckled like I'd just told the room I didn't understand a joke. I mean, look around, he said. This is her world. Fast, sharp. She belongs here. Jenna stood behind him, not touching him, not touching me, like she was hiding behind a curtain made of daylight. The whole picture clicked. The invite hadn't been about us. It had been a stage, and the line had been rehearsed. I took a beat long enough for Olivia to shift her weight. Carter mistook the pause for victory and leaned in, friendly menacing. You did good marrying up, he added, light as sugar. Olivia spoke first, faster than I could. I disagree, she said calmly. He didn't marry up. He settled down. Big difference. She tilted her head at me. You deserve better, Mark. The edges of the room came back into focus. Do I? I said, feeling clarity like cold water. Well, and I turned to her. How about dinner? Olivia didn't blink. Thought you'd never ask. I looked at Carter and finally met Jenna's eyes past his shoulder. We're going to step out, I told him. You enjoy your asset. I took Olivia's hand. We walked across the floor like people leaving a movie halfway through because they've seen enough. We didn't hurry. No one stopped us. Jenna didn't follow. Carter said something to someone that made them laugh. I did not look back. In the car, I buckled in and sat for a second. Thank you, I said. For what? Olivia adjusted the seat like she lived there. For keeping me from saying something I'd replay for a year. She looked at me, not smiling. I wasn't protecting you, she said. I was being honest. You deserve a woman who treats you like a choice, not storage. Noted, I answered. Food. We drove to a place with decent lighting and bad acoustic panels. We ordered simple. We talked like normal people, which felt like a luxury item. She told me about her brother who calls every Sunday, about the old Volvo she keeps alive out of spite. I told her about the shop, about the night I slept there because a storm rolled in and I didn't trust the roof. She laughed, not at me, but at the picture. Halfway through dessert, Jenna and Carter walked in. I saw them before they saw us. I put my fork down. Olivia's eyes flicked to the door. You okay? She asked. I'm fine, I replied, and I was steady, like when you've already decided to sell the house and you're just waiting for the closing date. They spotted us. Jenna's mouth opened. Carter's smile attempted dominance again. He walked by our table slow, like a tour guide who wants you to notice something. Couldn't get enough of the team, he said, as if he were funny. Small town, huh? Smaller than your filter, I answered. He grinned. Man of the people. I respect that. Run along, Carter, Olivia told him, her voice low. We're good here. He glanced at her name tag from the party still clipped to her clutch. He processed that she was his employee and decided to be clever. Networking pays, he said, and wandered on. Jenna didn't speak. She stared at me like I was borrowing her jacket without asking. I held her eyes 1 second. Then Olivia lifted the check. Ready? She asked. Yeah, I answered. Let's go. We went back to her place. In the sense that I walked her to her door, and we sat on her couch with coffee and told the truth like adults. She didn't make it complicated. Neither did I. She was clear about wanting to see me again. I was clear about what had to happen first. No overlap, I told her. I don't build new on top of old rot. She nodded. Don't take a year, Olivia said. I won't wait a year. A month, I replied. At most. Good, she said. Text me when you sleep. Morning sunlight showed me the time, and the clarity stayed. I drove home. Jenna was at the kitchen island, hands around a mug like it was evidence. You stayed out, she said. I did. With who? Someone who looked me in the eye. You have a wife, she snapped. You had a husband, I replied. Then you got a team. What's that supposed to mean? She tilted her chin. It means I'm not doing this one-man marriage anymore. I set my keys on the counter. Pack your essentials. You'll stay with a friend or a hotel. Today. You're kicking me out. I'm resetting my house, I said. You've been a guest for months. I'm making it official. You don't get to decide that, she hissed, but there wasn't much air in it. I do, I answered. And I just did. You're being dramatic. No. Drama is performing a relationship in public while pretending I'm background. This is logistics. I pointed to the hallway. Clothes, laptop, toiletries. I'll have a storage locker arranged for the rest. Keys on the counter by noon. She laughed, a sound with no humor in it. You'll regret this. Unlikely. People will talk, she tried. They can, I said. I'll be at the shop. When I come back, you'll be gone. She didn't move. I picked up my jacket and walked out. At the shop, I made 3 calls. First to a locksmith. Second to my bank to confirm the card splits were live. Third to a place with short-term storage. I told Dave and Miguel the basics. Dave whistled. Finally. Miguel nodded once. I'll help move boxes. This wasn't about leaving first, I told them. It was about dignity. You don't have to explain to us, Dave said. Explain to yourself if you want. But don't over-explain to her. Just handle it. By noon I swung back by the house. A suitcase stood by the door. Jenna had cleared the essentials like she'd been planning a quick exit anyway. She held out the set of keys like they were a peace offering. You're making a mistake, she said. I'll risk it. What am I supposed to tell people? The truth, I answered. That you outgrew your husband. Or that you thought you did. She glared, eyes dry. I'll be back for the rest. Call first, I told her. I'll have a time window and a friend here. We'll keep it clean. She stomped past me, clicked down the walk, and into a rideshare. I watched the car turn the corner, then I called the locksmith again. By sunset, the locks were new, the alarm code changed, her codes removed from the garage. I stacked the shared items we'd bought together, mostly kitchen gear and a set of patio chairs, in the garage, labeled. That's what fairness looks like without sentiment. That night, I texted Olivia. House is quiet. Thanks for last night. She replied with one word, good. I slept. Not great, not terrible. But the house answered me when I breathed, and that was new. 2 days later, Jenna messaged, I'll swing by Saturday at 10 for my stuff. I responded, 10 to 12 window. Dave will be here. She arrived at 10:40, flanked by a coworker I'd seen at the event, a woman named Brianna who avoided my eyes. Dave stood by the garage doorway, hands in pockets, a silent referee. Jenna brushed past us. I hate this, she said, heading for the closet. You hate not being in charge, I corrected. This is different. She packed quickly. At one point, she held a photo frame. The two of us in front of the courthouse on a windy day, sun too bright. She set it down like it had dust on it. Keep it, she said. No, I answered. It's half mine. Take it. She blinked, caught off guard by small fairness. She slid it into a tote. Fine. Her phone buzzed. She glanced and smoothed her hair. I did not bother to wonder who. When she left, she lingered in the doorway. Are you going to tell your parents I'm the bad guy? I don't need a villain, I replied. I just need my life back. She rolled the suitcase down the path. Brianna didn't say goodbye. That afternoon, I met Dave and Miguel at a bar with sticky tables. We didn't toast to anything. We sat, and the air felt lighter. "So what now?" Miguel asked. "Now," I said, "I live like the place is mine. I work. I eat meals when they're hot. I don't explain my calendar to anyone who doesn't share it." "And Olivia?" Dave prodded, like a brother. "I'll call her," I said, "when the ink is dry." "Don't let fear of optics stop you living," Miguel warned. "You're not the one who left." "I know exactly what I am," I told him. "I'm a man who watched his wife walk herself out and held the door." Weeks have a way of moving when you aren't dragging them. I filed the papers and handled the packets and signed where I had to sign. I didn't turn it into a saga. I showed up, was polite, kept my sentences short. Jenna texted twice with softeners. "First time, I missed the dog. That was funny, we never had one." I didn't respond. "Second time, maybe we should talk." I responded. "About the pickup schedule?" She didn't reply. Olivia and I kept a slow, clean rhythm. Coffee on a Sunday afternoon. A walk along the river where we debated whether hot dogs counted as sandwiches. She came by the shop once with iced teas, stood by the lift while I torqued a stubborn bolt, and asked the kind of questions that prove you're listening. "So you charge less if it's an old lady who looks like your mom?" she teased. "No," I said. "I charge the same. I just rotate the tires for free." She grinned. "I can work with fair." At the end of a month, the last page turned. I didn't celebrate. I went home, opened windows, let the house breathe. Then I texted Olivia, "Tonight?" She replied with an address. I showed up with a decent dessert and no expectations beyond conversation. Expectations turned into plans the clean way. Plain talk, no triangles. I wish I could say that was the end of the old story. It wasn't. Old stories like to claw their way back to your door. 2 months after the party, Jenna's name flashed on my phone while I was closing the shop. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I listened. "Mark, can we talk?" She sounded tired in a way she hadn't when she was energized. "Things changed at work. I could use a place for a week. Just a week." I stared at the air for a second. Then I called back because I prefer people hear than know live. "What's up?" I asked when she answered. "Hi." She took a breath. "They didn't renew my contract. New leadership." She tried to make it sound like a weather event. "I just need a couch." "You have parents," I said. "And friends." Silence. "Jenna," I added evenly. "You made me a layover. I'm not offering a connecting flight." "I didn't," she stopped. "You're being cruel." "I'm being consistent," I replied. "The house is not an emergency plan. Not for you. You're different," she said, a little wonder, a little contempt. "No," I told her. "I finally matched my situation. Good luck." I hung up and sat with it for a minute. Then I sent Olivia a picture of 2 steaks on a grill and the caption, "You free?" She came over, hair in a knot, a 6-pack of seltzers in her hand. We ate on the patio furniture Jenna hadn't wanted. Neighbors walked dogs. A kid tossed a football badly. Ordinary life, untheatrical, honest. "Was that hard?" Olivia asked later, stacking plates. "It was necessary." "You're good at that," she said. "At what?" "Necessary." We built something boring and beautiful. Tuesday grocery runs. Saturday mornings at the soccer field for Miguel's kids. A small circle of friends who know when to joke and when to hand you a wrench. She kept her own apartment because she liked sleeping diagonally. I respected that. I liked that we both carved space and then invited each other in on purpose. Months passed. One evening at the shop, Jenna walked in. No tote now. No blazer with the creases. Just plain clothes and a face trying to be unreadable. "I came for the patio set," she said. "You said it was half mine." "It was," I replied. "You had 2 months." I nodded toward the chairs. "I took a different position on fare. You didn't want it when it was easy. It's not available when it's convenient." She scoffed. "You like this new version of yourself too much." "I like that he has a spine," I said. "You should try it." She bit her lip, looked around the shop like she might find an exit that wasn't a door. He ended it. She dropped, sudden, as if shooting a flare. "Carter, if you were wondering." "I wasn't," I told her. She blinked. He said it wasn't simple. She wore the humiliation like a coat that didn't fit. "Nothing about you was simple," I replied. "That's why I opted out." She shook her head. "You never fight for anything." "I fought for respect," I said. "The other party didn't show." She stared at me like she was going to find the old me if she squinted. She didn't. She left. That was the last time I saw her up close. Word floated through a friend of a friend that she moved back in with her parents to recalibrate. I didn't fact check it. I didn't need an update on a show I don't watch. Olivia and I moved forward. Not in one giant shove, step by step. I taught her how to change oil on that Volvo. She taught me to make a passable risotto and not rush it. We took a weekend away up north and found a motel with exactly the ugly carpet I'd promised months back. We sat on a pier with coffee and said nothing, the kind of silence that counts as conversation. Here's the part where I give you a speech. It's short. People tell you love is about effort. They're right. What they forget to tell you is effort without respect is a treadmill. You sweat. You go nowhere. I stepped off. I didn't set the machine on fire. I just stepped off, paid my tab, and walked out the door. A year after the party, I sold the patio chairs because they were uncomfortable. Olivia moved in because sleeping diagonally is less important than laughing over cereal. We bought a small house with a yard that'll take me 5 hours to get right every Sunday. Dave still talks too much at the grill. Miguel still beats me at pickup. My shop expanded into the bay next door. I hired a kid who reminds me of me at 25, hungry, decent, allergic to pretension. Sometimes, at night, we sit on our new steps and count passing cars like kids. Olivia nudges me, and I nudge back. One last detail, because I know someone will ask. The last thing I told Jenna, really told her, was not an insult. It was a sentence she needed to hear, and I needed to say. When she stood in my kitchen that morning, angry I'd come home at sunrise, accusing me of what she'd been practicing quietly, I could have given her a speech. I didn't. I gave her a policy. This house runs on respect, I told her. You stopped paying the bill. Service is discontinued. She insisted I'd regret it. I haven't. I upgraded the plan.